All right, let's try again.
I'm
Manuel's
slow.
calling from California. Professor Hume says the best evidence for God is the beginning of the universe. Hey, Manuel, did you hear the call earlier where we talked about the beginning of the universe?
No, I haven't heard it.
Okay. So, my take on the universe is that I have no way of investigating the state of the universe prior to the tiniest fraction of a second, something called the Planck time, after it began to expand. And I don't know how anybody else can explore it. So how do you determine what the beginning of the universe was?
Well, according to physics, energy cannot be created or destroyed, but we know there was a beginning of time. Okay.
Manuel?
Yes.
Did God create energy?
What that's a mystery. Nobody knows.
No, it's
how
not.
Energy
It's not a mystery.
Created.
No, Manuel. You said that according to physics, energy can't be created or destroyed, which is, by the way, false. And we could get our physicist friend on here to do that. But then you seem to think that God created the universe, which would be matter and energy. So evidently,
which is supernatural because it can be created.
Oh, so what you're saying is physics has something to say about matter and energy within the universe that we can investigate, and you're making a claim about matter and energy outside of our ability to investigate. So we're back to my original question. Yes, I know. We're back to my original question which was this. I'm not aware of any way to investigate that. How can you show what the beginning of the universe was? You don't get to go to physics because physics has nothing to say prior to that instant.
That's the problem. Physical laws cannot explain the beginning of the world. They just can't. So if it can't, it must be supernatural.
No, that's a fallacy. Manuel, that's like saying we found a dead body and it can't be the maid, so it must be the butler. That's not how this works. You don't get to decide, hey, we don't have a natural explanation, therefore we get to make shit up.
No, but we don't make shit up. The physical laws cannot explain it.
No, we do.
Okay, educate me. How did energy was created? Educate.
Manuel, listen. How many different gods have men created over our history?
Billions upon billions.
Okay. If men have created billions of gods, then men can create gods as an explanation. How many of those billions of gods are real?
No, nobody knows if billion are true, or nobody knows if one is true. Nobody knows.
Okay.
It might be true that
Manuel, you're calling in to say the best evidence for God is the beginning of the universe, but you admit that we have no way of investigating the beginning of the universe. And now you're saying nobody can know. So are you saying you don't have evidence for God?
No, let me give me 1 minute to explain myself.
I'll give you 30 seconds.
What I'm trying to say is that the physical laws cannot explain a beginning because it's outside space, time, and matter. Therefore, the best inference for no physical laws can explain the world. The best inference is someone outside the universe.
How do you know it's someone outside the universe instead of something outside the universe?
I know, and I'll tell you how. Because
I'm going to mute you because that was just too funny.
Wow. I am so ready to hear this. I did not expect that, Matt.
So just for clarity, Manuel admits that science cannot explore the origin of the universe due to a physical limitation of the universe. We don't know if that limitation is permanent or not, because we don't know what else we may discover about the universe. So we could develop something down the line, an extension of quantum mechanics or whatever, that might be able to explore beyond the Planck time to determine the universe. But Manuel looks at the universe and sees, hey, Physics doesn't currently have a natural explanation. Therefore, physics will never have a natural explanation, which is fallacy number one. And because physics will never have an explanation, therefore we're justified in proposing a supernatural explanation, fallacy number two. And when we have potentially multiple competing supernatural explanations, some one, some thing, some other one, some other thing, he then asserts that he knows which of these possible supernatural things did it. So we've now stacked two fallacies. Let's see if we stack a third one. How do you know what the supernatural origin is, Manuel?
An eternal recycled world cannot come to existence because you need an agent to say, okay, this is nothing. Now let's change it into something. Thunder doesn't like striking. It does it naturally. It doesn't say, I want to strike Matt. I want to strike Oscar. It does it naturally. So you need a force that has a will to say, I want to start it now. That's it.
Manuel, do you realize you just made another claim? You didn't actually answer the question. You just said, you know what, I'm gonna throw something else out there.
No, he said, how do I know that there can be an eternal world? Well, there can be an eternal world.
No, Manuel. And I appreciate the fact that there may be a slight language barrier here. The words eternal world never fucking left my mouth until this moment. So that's not the question that I asked. After you started with science doesn't currently have an explanation, you committed a fallacy to get to it won't have an explanation. And then you committed another fallacy to get to therefore it's reasonable to presume infer a supernatural explanation. That's another fallacy. And then when I asked you how you knew that it was a sum one rather than a sum thing, you spewed forth something that doesn't demonstrate that. So we're going to try one more time. Let's us say that just for a moment, Darante and I are convinced by your two fallacies, and we have now agreed with you the origin of the universe is supernatural. We're now asking you, how can we know that it's a sum one rather than a sum thing?
There must be a necessary uncaused cause. There's no cause without.
Manuel, we're going to agree with you, just for the sake of argument, that there must be an uncaused cause. How can we know that this uncaused cause is a sum one and not a sum thing?
Yep.
Because it has a will.
No, Manuel, you have not demonstrated that it has a will. You just pulled that out of your asshole right now.
No, I didn't. You told me the reason.
I'm asking you how we can know it's a sum one rather than a sum thing, and you have asserted that we can tell that because it has a will. So I'm going to ask you the follow-up, which is, how can we tell that it has a will?
Natural thunder does not have will, so it cannot.
I agree with you that thunder does not have will. That is not even in the realm of a reasonable response to what I asked you. Please pay attention to what I asked you. Darante and I, for the sake of argument, are going to agree that there's a supernatural cause for the universe. You are asserting that it is a someone, a thinking agent. When we ask you how you know that, you say, because it has will. So now we're asking, how do you know it has will? And your response was, because because lightning doesn't have will. Okay. This rag doesn't have will either, but that doesn't demonstrate whether or not the cause of the house fire was a willful agent or faulty wiring. Pointing to something else that doesn't have will doesn't prove that your thing has will. So for the last fucking time, how can we know that your cause actually has will? Let's try it again.
An electrical house may be caused by fire, by thunder.
Manuel, I'm sorry that analogies are too much for you to fucking bear, but here's my question.
Oy.
How do you know that the cause of the universe had a will? That's it. That's the whole question.
Give me a second to explain.
I'm going to mute you.
Oh my goodness.
Here's the question. I'm going to say it 3 times. How do you know that the cause of the universe had a will? How do you know that the cause of the universe had a will? How do you know that the cause of the universe had a will? Begin.
How do I know that the world had a will? Because only agents have will, and God has will, and nature doesn't have will. How can the universe say the Big Bang is going to start 16 billion years ago because the universe wants to? It can't. It doesn't have a will.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
Thanks, Manuel. Thanks for that circular argument. You said, how can I tell that it has a will? Because only agents have will. Well, agent is the thing that you're trying to prove, and you used will to try to prove that it was an agent, and then you used agent to prove it was will. So that's one circular reasoning. The next words out of your mouth were after, because only agents have will, you said, and God has will. Well, God is the thing that you're trying to prove. So you've done an equivocation fallacy between agent and God and asserted that that has will as well. We're going to move on now.
It's got electrolytes.
Thank you for your time,
Hilarious.
Manuel.
Okay.
I would highly recommend you start looking into
nice
logical
talking to you,
fallacy.
Matt.
It wasn't nice talking to me.
No.
Don't lie. That couldn't have been fun.
No.
Wow, that was a great clip we just watched. Hey, Eve, what should the people do now?
Leave a comment, click like, subscribe, patreon.com/ does that say call the line?
Yeah. But if you could have made, we could just make it a little more natural. On the next clip, the outro will be much better.